I'm a British expat who's lived in China for coming up to 3 years now, and this is going to be a video about personally my worst experience yet here in China. Welcome back to the Barrett channel for a brand new video today with myself, Ollie. Now this is a video I didn't really want to have to make, but sometimes, you know, when you run into bad experiences, it's important to voice your opinion about them, especially when we have the audience that we do. We, on this channel, as you're probably aware, we tend to show the good side of China, and there's a lot of great things about living here. There's a lot of things that are very impressive and that are worth showing to the outside world, because quite often people outside of China get a very distorted image of what it's like to live here. Unfortunately, this is going to be one of those videos where it is something that I really didn't enjoy, to say the least. It was a very, very frustrating situation that we found ourselves in, and I'm going to lay a little bit of context to start with. So, coronavirus has been going on for the past couple of years, and as you may or may not already be aware, China, ever since the start, have had a zero COVID policy. It's always when you're going to do a video and then someone starts cutting down trees with a chainsaw. What? As you may or may not already be aware, when China has a few cases in a particular city, they take things very, very seriously. There'll be often mass testing of that area, or even the whole city. There will be buildings that will be put into lockdown. There will be very strict rules in getting into shopping malls, into getting into any public spaces like on the metro. There's been a few times here in Shenzhen alone where we've been needing to have a 48-hour COVID test result even to be able to get into a shopping mall or get onto the metro line. So they do take things very, very seriously. Now, everybody in China will have a health code. There's two different types of code. There's a health code and there's a travel code. If your health code is green, you should be allowed into everywhere. However, if your travel code can be green. However, if you've been in a city where there has been a case, even one case, you will have a little star, an asterisk on your travel code to say that you've been in this city, and it's possible, although unlikely, it's possible that you may have come into contact with somebody who has contracted the virus. Now, if you do have that asterisk on your travel code, you will most certainly need a 48-hour COVID test result when traveling around to different cities. So that lays the groundwork a little bit. My British friend Jordan, who you will have seen on the channel recently in a couple of videos we did together, he actually has left China now and he's gone back to live in the UK. But just before he was leaving, we wanted to do a little bit of traveling together, make some videos. So we decided to go to these three places. Firstly, Wuhan, then we were going to travel over to Zhangjiajie, and then over to Changsha. Now, these three places are quite close to each other, although the two biggest cities, Wuhan and Changsha, are in two separate provinces. So, as advised by the government, we have to get a 48-hour test result before we travel anywhere. So we did that. We arrived in Wuhan and we had no problems. Checked into the hotel, did our traveling, and then I don't remember the exact day, but this is in January, towards the end of January, we traveled. We got a train from Wuhan to Zhangjiajie. Zhangjiajie is the place where Avatar was inspired from. So it's the famous Avatar Mountains. We wanted to go and see the scenery over there. So it took a 6-hour train, and we arrived about 9:30 p.m. in Zhangjiajie. And we went to leave the train station and we got pulled aside. And usually that happens because they want to check our passport and they want to register us manually, whereas the Chinese people can register automatically when they scan their ID card. However, they have to do foreigners separate. So no alarm bells were ringing at this point. So we go to register, and the guy who is greeting us at the train station, he wants to see our travel code and our health code, which is no problem. We showed him both, and he saw that we have the little asterisk, the star I was talking about, on our travel code, because at that time, Shenzhen, the city we both live in, had a couple of cases. So nationwide, if that's the case, as I mentioned before, all you need to have is a 48-hour COVID test result in order to, get past that stage. So we show him the test results, and he is just saying "bushing," like not okay. And at this point, I'm starting to think, well, what do you mean it's not okay? Because that's the rule. That's what you need to do. You need to have a 48-hour test result, and then you can travel freely throughout the country so long as you've got a green travel code and health code. But he wasn't allowing us to come in. He was essentially saying that the only way we were allowed to go in is if we were prepared to do 3 weeks quarantine at the hotel we were staying at. Otherwise, we had to get on the next train or the next flight out of Zhangjiajie and leave. So at this point, you can imagine we were getting somewhat frustrated because we have everything we need to be able to get in. However, we're not allowed in. Now, I have somewhat limited Chinese. I was asking him to get other people involved and to get their opinions. And, no one wanted to go against what he was saying. So I had my girlfriend on the phone, and Jordan had a Chinese friend on the phone, and they were helping us as much as they could. But they just were not allowing us to enter the city. At this point, it was about an hour after we'd arrived, and we were still having trouble. And then all of a sudden, I noticed there's a lot of Chinese people coming to queue behind us to also register manually. And the only reason they would have to do that is if they had come from a city where there were also COVID cases, so that they had to have their travel code and health code observed manually by the security at the station. So I was eavesdropping into these people's conversations who were being allowed in. And it turns out that train had also come straight from Shenzhen, which is the same city as we had come from just a few days before. However, we were not being allowed in. At this point, obviously, you can imagine I was getting quite frustrated, but I was trying my best to keep my cool. So I asked them again. I said, this train has just come in from Shenzhen, but I've seen you are allowing them in with a 48-hour test result. Why is that? And the guy lied straight to my face, and he said, no, they're not coming from Shenzhen. They're all locals, and they're coming back, and they're going to do quarantine at home. And that's when, at that point, I really struggled to keep my patience, because I actually went to some of the people in the line and asked them personally, where have you come from and why are you here? And 2 or 3 people said, we've come from Shenzhen and we're here to travel, which was just the same as us. But the guy at the train station, as well as all the other people, because at this point there were quite a lot of people involved, they were all telling me that they were locals and they were coming back to quarantine at the hotel or at home for 2 weeks. So it was blatant lie straight to my face. At this point, it was getting on towards about 11 p.m. and it was becoming very apparent to us that the only reason we were not being allowed in was because we're foreigners. We had all the credentials we needed, just the same as everybody else coming from Shenzhen, yet we were the only people who were not allowed past the security gate. On top of this, it was extremely cold and we were being made to wait outside this whole time. It was about 2 degrees outside and I was wearing everything possible. It was raining. It was quite a miserable time. And they were essentially telling us to get the next train or flight home. And I was looking on the app because at this point I thought we're gonna have to leave. And there were no trains or flights out of the city at that time. It was the latest one. So I showed them, and from what I could tell, it seemed that they were literally prepared to let us sleep on the street. But after, a bit of debate, let's say, they eventually said, right, you can stay at a hotel just for tonight. However, you need to get another COVID test before you go to that hotel, and then you need to leave first thing in the morning. So that was basically what they told us. Now, I never ever want to be the guy to use my image, being that I have a online following, to get me access to things that I wouldn't usually get access to. But this was a particular case where I told my girlfriend on the phone to explain to them what I do, and that I was here to make videos around Zhangjiajie. And literally I was there to showcase their city on an international stage, because they have some phenomenal scenic places that I wanted to show you. And then it wasn't until that point that, about half an hour after telling them that, they made a few calls and they seemed to change their tune a little bit. I can only make presumptions about why they changed their tune a little bit, but it did seem very weird. So about half an hour later, they agreed to let us in, only if the person from the hotel we had booked will come to pick us up and confirm that we are staying at this hotel. So after about 4 hours of deliberation, it's midnight, we were really hungry and cold, we finally managed to get in. And we were just so relieved. We were so relieved. Because at that point, I genuinely felt like, it just felt like everything was going against us, and it just felt very, very unfair to be in that situation. And we just felt it so unwanted, and we felt like such outsiders. And especially when, we do our best here on this channel to showcase the good sides of China, to kind of fight back a little bit against the lies that are told abroad, to then be faced with this kind of situation. It was really pretty sad. But anyway, at that point, we were in, we got a good night's rest, we slept on it, and we were able to travel the city and see things and make videos, and it was a good time. The weird part about it all is just the fact that things can be so different between two different cities that are quite close together. So we go to Wuhan, no problems at all. Sometimes they don't even care to check your health code when you're coming in, or your test result. They might check your health code, but maybe not your test result. And then you can go to a city that is very, very close by and have such a different reception. It's very, very strange. And this has been the worst case yet, but we have had a couple of other cases in different cities that have been similar. It always tends to be the smaller cities, because there's local government and local regulations there that they might do things differently to other cities in the same province. It's not kind of nationalized. It's all different in different provinces. Whenever we go to the big cities, I've never had a problem. It tends to just be the smaller cities. So I think from now on, I'm going to avoid as much as I can visiting these kinds of places, because it's really, really tough at the moment being a foreigner in smaller cities. Now, the point of this video is not to spread anger or hatred. As you can see, I'm very calm about this situation during the video. That's why I kind of waited a few weeks to make it. because I didn't want to come across as entitled or anything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to use the platform that we have to sort of spread awareness about this, and hopefully we can sort of prevent it from happening in the future, because I'm sure even many Chinese people watching will probably be quite sorry that this has happened to us, because yeah, in many of the places around China, this wouldn't have happened. You know, as I said before, in the big cities, there's never been a problem. It's just, some places with local policies and regulations that are not being sort of addressed on a wider scale. And it only affects a very, very small amount of people. So in some ways, I feel it gets overlooked. On that note, I'm going to carry on enjoying my coffee, and let me know down below what you think, or what you think could be done about this, or if there's any other expats watching, if you've had any troubles, I would like to hear about them down in the comments. But yeah, watch out for the next video. It'll be a bit more lively and light-hearted than this one, but we will see you in the next one. For now, take care.